All right. Well, I am back with Bible review expert Tim Wildsmith,
That's me.
and and I really had to twist his arm to get us to talk about the topic we're going to talk about today, which is Allan Bibles.
Allan Bibles.
Yeah, I think he might be a fan based on the scenery that I see behind him. It looks like you have a few Allan Bibles back there.
I don't usually have those stacked right there, Tim, but I just wanted to show off a little bit. And so I brought some of my good ones back here that's one in almost all of the different translations that Allan has printed Bibles in. I don't have the legendary, hard to find Holman Christian Standard Bible that they did. And I probably wouldn't pay for it if I could find one, but I have a bunch of others in a bunch of other translations, and I love them. I do love them a lot. Yeah.
So you don't have the HCSB, and do you have the NKJV?
The third one from the bottom there is the NKJV single column. It's not the double column reference Bible, right, which is more rare, but I do have the NKJV single column.
The NKJV double column is the one that is, I think, highly sought after by some. Yeah. But then I always hear people say that it's actually not that nice.
Yeah. It's not everybody's favorite text block to read, but because it's so rare, it's so funny. Yeah. The culture around these Bibles is fascinating.
It's like anything. I was just watching a video recently on sports cars.
Yep.
And the Ferrari from the 80s, or
yes,
yeah, I think the 80s, the person was saying there are things about it that it's not necessarily the best car, sure, but it's certainly highly sought after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same is true with some of these Bibles, you know?
That's right. Yep.
So we're talking about sports car Bibles, right?
Sports car Bibles. That's what this video should be called.
Well, they just came out with the McLaren NKJV.
I said that to one of the people from Thomas Nelson. McLaren, it sounds like you're releasing a sports car, not a Bible, you know?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I did make reference to that in my video, but I did also point out that they are spelled slightly differently. So that just, make sure that people aren't confused about that.
Exactly.
But funny. Yeah, in a way, these are high-end Bibles, and Allan is one of the producers of high-end Bibles. So our first thing that we're going to talk about here is what we think makes them so special, what makes them so good. And I personally, I'll just say this off the bat, when I saw pictures of Allan Bibles, it didn't really strike me as, something that stood out. I mean, I feel like when I saw pictures of Schuyler Bibles, those immediately stood out to me. But I did finally get around to getting some Allan Bibles, and the moment that you actually hold one is when you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, this is really nice.
I had almost the exact same experience. I think I shared this on one of our videos we did together before, but I was looking for a premium Bible about a year ago as a graduation gift to myself. And that's when I first discovered the world of Schuyler and Allan and Cambridge Premium Bibles. And when I looked online and saw what Allan had, they just kind of looked like normal Bibles to me. But I was curious because I saw a lot of people chatting about them on Facebook and how much they liked them. And so then I literally, the first one I ever got, I found it on eBay. It was an older one that was used. And then so I bought it just because I was curious. Same thing you just described. When it showed up and I opened the box, I was like, oh, I get it. It's like, and how do you describe that? It feels special when you get it in your hands. It's just like, it feels good. It looks good. It's different. It's unique. It kind of feels like a vintage Bible, but it's not that old, And I kind of, from that first Bible, I jumped into the deep end. And now, as you can see, I've got I've bought and sold a lot in the last year just so I could see different editions of it, but I've obviously kept a few of them because I like them so much. And I just think they're really, really cool, really special.
Yeah, I like that point you bring out about uniqueness. And I'd love to hear what people think in the comments below. We'll read those comments, I'm sure, once this recording goes up. It'll be interesting to see what other people really like about Allan's. Yeah, that uniqueness, though, is key with me because I feel like they are all a little bit different.
Yep.
This was one of the first ones that I got. I call it my British Bible because it really has that British color scheme going on here.
Is that the ESV reader?
This is the ESV reader in blue.
I have a green one.
Oh, There we go. We've got
nice.
siblings
this was a
right
gift
there.
from my parents. This was actually my seminary graduation gift from my parents. They got me the green ESV reader, and I love it.
Yeah.
With the green ribbons.
Boom. I love green. I have a green Bible. I'll show everybody soon here. But the blue one here, I just thought really a British theme going on because of the color scheme.
Yeah.
As well as it being from England.
The UK. So. Yeah, that's right.
So I love that. But yeah, I think the thing about Allan's, I will say, is Schuyler to me always has very consistent production, which I love. And that in some ways makes Schuyler better because you know that quality is always going to be up here. Allan goes up and down a little bit depending on, but that's also what makes them special.
Yeah, it makes it fun. They use several different binderies. So if people don't know, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people watching this video know a little bit about Allan, but they don't have a lot of their own text blocks. In fact, the one that they do have the rights to is the King James Version long primer. That's a vintage Oxford text block. So like when they're printing an ESV Bible, they're using a Crossway text block and they're having it bound. So, but they use all these different English and some in the Netherlands. Like they use the Royal Youngblood that Schuyler does all their Bibles at, but only for a few of their Bibles. They also do this place called Charfleet and another little bindery called Chant. And there's this older one. No, sorry, Chant they don't use anymore, but people really wish they did because they have like this legendary status. And there's another one called Ludlow. So it's like, and they all kind of have different types of goat skin and different aesthetic touches to how they do the binding. So yeah, they're not all, like you said, Schuyler is so consistent. You know what you're going to get. And you have to kind of get to know the binderies that Allan uses so you can kind of get a picture in your head of what you're expecting to show up at your house when you order the Bible.
Yes. And it's nice that you brought up goat skin because the one that I showed you, and you have it too, I think, is the Highland goat skin.
Highland, yeah.
On these ESV, what are they called? New classic.
Yeah, new classic reference readers editions. Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of words in there, but
exactly.
We kind of call it the reader for short, I guess.
Well, and that's the other thing that everybody loves about Allan is that they all have these little letters and numbers that they are associated with. And I am a member of the Allan Bible Addicts Facebook page. And at least once a month, somebody new joins the group and says, I'm sorry, I don't know what any of these letters and numbers mean. Can someone explain them? And we're always explaining to them. And you just have to kind of get used to it. And then you start to recognize, oh, that's what that means. And that's what that means. And that's kind of the fun of it for me, is just kind of deciphering the code of the Allan letters and numbers.
Yeah, exactly. We're part of a special insider group. We know the codes.
That's right.
So you got the Highland goat skin, and then this is their regular goat skin. This is also an ESV. I think this is just called the ESV1 for those who know the code language.
Yep.
But someone was actually just writing on Facebook today, I think, that they got NIV, and I think of probably the same kind of cover, and they felt like the goat skin was kind of spongy, and they didn't really like it. So again, that speaks back to that each Allan, the different models are very unique. They're not all the same.
So that one that you have, the black one, it probably says Ludlow on the inside back cover, right? That it was printed at Ludlow.
It does.
Yeah. So Ludlow uses it's not Highland goat skin. It's a New Zealand goat skin. And it has a very different texture, a different thickness than the Highland goat skin. That I think you probably have one that was made at Chant or Charfleet, which is where mine's from. And they just feel totally different. And yet those two Bibles that you just held up, the text block is exactly the same, except for one is slightly bigger than the other. And so they do that. Like you have to know that the ESV1 and the ESV NC1 are kind of the same Bible, but one is a bigger text block. It's been enlarged and it's on nicer paper, that sort of thing. It's kind of wild, isn't it?
Yeah. I like that you're bringing all this out. And I know a lot of fans already know this stuff, but there's always going to be new people who don't.
Absolutely.
So this one here, I like the size of it, and a lot of people do. It's just a very easy to carry size. But you're right, the paper in this one is Netherlands paper.
Yep. And
anytime you hear Netherlands, that's a good sign, right? That's always good when you hear Netherlands when it comes to Bibles.
Absolutely.
The paper in the readers, it's creamy.
Yes.
And just
feels
really
great.
You can tell great quality. Yeah. I liken it to almost like parchment. It's so nice.
Absolutely. that's one of the, I think we're going to talk about this, but one of the kind of the dings against them is that oftentimes the Bibles that they're buying, like that ESV one you have, it's a Bible from Crossway that was printed in China, and Allan just sources the text blocks and basically has a binding of them done. Whereas with the blue one you have, the NC1, that's from the ground up. They enlarged it, but they also had it printed specially in the Netherlands, and so it's not like it's not just like another Bible that's been rebound. It's definitely their own kind of creation of that Bible.
Exactly. And again, this is really all wrapped up in this theme of how unique each of their different Bibles are. They're not all the same. They're all unique. So I love that. Yeah. And I'm sure we're going to get to talking eventually about the NASB reader. We'll hold off on that because that deserves its own category.
It does.
But yeah, I'd like to hear what other people think. Another thing people like, although I'm not as huge on this, they're really like they go gaga over Allan ribbons.
Yes.
Right. They're like, this one here does have these amazingly long. Yeah.
And sometimes they don't. Sometimes you get one and it doesn't have long ribbons and you're like, well, what was happening at the factory that day? It's like, you don't necessarily know what to expect all the time. It's it's honestly, as much as I love it, it's a quirky little company. It's not the same as some of those other big, like Cambridge is just this huge, massive. Cambridge Bibles is a small division of a huge, massive Cambridge University press. And the Schuyler is a smaller shop, but they have that level of consistency where you kind of know what you're going to get every single time. And Allan, it's just a little bit, you have to kind of get it. I think that's why so many people who become major fans love it so much, because if you get it and if it feels right to you, it's got that X factor that you really like. And then I get though why some people are like, I don't get it. It makes sense to me. There's just like, if it's your thing, it's your thing. And if it's not, it's not.
Yeah. And then that kind of makes it go into like, well, what year did you get this particular edition?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Because that year they had this material or they did this with the color scheme or whatever.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think that's a very good overview of what makes Allan Bibles special.